Hey, welcome to the next video where we will be actually putting in all of our detailed scene beats into the plan. This is going to be the longest part of the process of building up our information for the AI. And we're not actually creating anything at this point. Everything's been created. We're just literally copy pasting. But since we have 18 chapters plus an epilogue, and each beat has to be pasted individually, and this is going to take a little bit. So bear with me, and we will get this done. In the next video, we will actually start writing, but this will be the last planning prep type thing. So let's get started. I've also got Google Docs open just so I can copy paste into there, just to make it a little easier. So all I'm doing is grabbing chapter 1, paste that, chapter 2. I'm not grabbing the extra stuff. That's why I'm not just hitting copy, because really we don't need it. And if you like toggling between chat and plan, that's okay. You can definitely do that. The reason that I do this is because I like being able to delete it as I get it entered into the plan, so that I kind of know where I am, especially if I need to take a break at all. But in the last video, we built up the codex here with all of our characters and all of our locations. So really adding these scenes into the plan is the very last piece that we need to do before we can actually jump into writing. If you are copy pasting, just make sure to grab that chapter heading so that you kind of know where you are. And there's chapter 6. This is chapter 7. That's part of Act 2. Remember, we're doing the 3-act structure. So 1 through 6 in 1, 7 through 12, 13 through 18, and then we have that epilogue, which, if you remember in our epilogue from the previous video, is when they talk about having a baby and everything kind of gets wrapped up. You don't have to have an epilogue in yours. If you don't want to, you don't even have to follow the 3-act structure. There's lots of different structures that you can do. If you even want to follow one of the pre-made outlines, you don't have to. Your book is completely up to you. I like having a little bit of structure when I'm making a novel, especially since in this one, in this project that we're doing right now, we are not actually going to write any of it for the first draft. The first draft will be completely ChatGPT, and that's ChatGPT Turbo. And so we will be editing the drafts, but everything that is created will be through chat. And you absolutely do not have to do it that way. I just wanted to show you kind of what the process could look like if you wanted to. All right, here's chapter 15. Just tossing it in. And it's like it's pretty consistent that each one is going to have about 10 beats. So that's nice. That helps us a little bit. Chapter 17, we are almost done with this part. This will probably be the longest video in the series, just because it's a lot of copy paste. But all of this planning that we're doing, all this little background stuff that we're doing, will make it so much easier and so much faster when we are actually writing, and it'll help keep the AI on track so that we don't go completely off the deep end. Alright, so that's everything there. And then if you want, what I like to do as well is just something very quick. Can I get a synopsis for this novel? Say you're sending it to an editor, an agent, a publishing house, you'll want a synopsis. So go ahead and send it off. It's going to give a second. And then it's going to give us our synopsis. We also, if you remember, have a very basic outline, and I'll show you that too. That basic outline, some publishers like that, just so that they can see kind of where everything was going and the little pieces along the way. A lot of publishers also like the synopsis. Okay. And while we're at it, let's go ahead and open up Open Router so I can show you guys how much that cost. So here's today. That cost 11 cents to get that complete synopsis. And then, yeah, if you're self-publishing, maybe you're going to put it up on Kindle Unlimited. Can I get a blurb? Sure. There we go. You'll probably want to tweak it, but this gives you a really good starting place. And look, there you go. It actually gave us a title already. Maybe we don't love that title, but there we go. That cost us 10 cents. Maybe we don't love any of those. Maybe some of those help. Either way, it's something to start with. And getting those titles costs 9 cents. Alright, so we are done with that. We won't be generating anything else. But now we have our blurb that we can start with at least. We have our synopsis. Let's go to this plan. So each of these chapters has one scene right now. We know from here, this detailed scene beats, that we need about 10. So let's go ahead and add. Eight, 9, and 10. All right. What about 7, 8, 9, 10? Something really cool too, like say you have scene 7 here and you're like, you know what, this really is more of a later chapter thing, move it over. It's that easy. You know, if you're like, actually I like that, but I like that for an earlier chapter, I like that for the later chapter, you know, maybe it should be higher up in the chapter. Whatever you think, you can easily move it around. There's chapter 10, or actually scene 10, chapter 6. Seven, 8, 9, 10. I like doing this first just so that I have everything so I can easily just plop it in. And then the reason that we do the planning last, at least for me, is that because we made all of our codecs, each time that, say, we have a scene that mentions Jack, he'll get highlighted in the scene, so the codex instantly links to the scene. For me, it's just a little faster and a little easier, but you can do this in any order you want. And say you are jumping into Novel Crafter, trying to finish a book that's mostly written, or one that you've maybe done a couple chapters on, maybe you got stuck along the way. You'll want to build out your codex and put in the scenes so that the AI has all that information stored. That way, it can give you the best help, especially if you're using something like ChatGPT, because it costs, as you've seen, it costs pennies, but it does add up. So if you don't give the AI as much information as possible, it's going to be grasping at straws. Maybe it decides that your sweet second chance small town romance is actually a sci-fi, adventure story where we're hunting down the bad guys of an alien race. Something like that. It'll go off the rails if you don't give it enough information. So this step, it takes a while, especially if, you're having to read through a very long book that you've started that you need help with, but it's absolutely worth it so that you get the most out of the AI and the most out of Novel Crafter itself. So here we are just finishing this out. Just adding more scene beats to this. Okay, and then the next video will actually be us writing. Well, it'll be the AI writing, but we'll see how this all comes together. But, so far up to this point, we've been about 35 minutes, maybe 40 minutes. But this part will be the longest part of the planning. So now everything has a scene beat, and let's get started. So I'm just going to grab this, copy that, put it here. Two, copy that, put it here. Alright, get rid of that. Grab that. Okay, get rid of that. We're now on 4. Toss in 4. Grab 5. Toss in 5. Grab 6. Grab 7. Here's 8. Here's 9. Here's 10. So now we have all of chapter 1 planned out. Okay, get rid of all that. There's chapter 2. Here's beat 3. See, and this is a good reason why we did the codex first. So we just go, okay, Lily. Lily is Emily's best friend. There's Emily. There's Lily. There's Emily. Okay, here's beat 4. Here's 5. And this will absolutely not be ready to submit to a publisher or to an agent or to get up on Kindle. This is not how to write with Novel Crafter and have a finished piece instantly. This is going to take edits, but this is going to be one that you can go and do the edits on to make your own. And that's really The point of this series is showing how we can go from having absolutely nothing to having that first draft that we can really work with and really make our own. Go, and there's scene 10 for chapter 2. So something to decide as you're doing this is how you want the POV to be. So as you're doing this, you can set custom POV, and then when you're doing this, you're going to decide, okay, is it third person? Is it a specific character? You can do, maybe it's Emily's character. You can do third person limited. If you don't set a person, then it's just going to be kind of everybody. It's going to be third person, not focused on anyone in particular. And if that's how you want to do it, that's great. If you prefer first person, that's fine. Just as you're doing these, think about that. So we have chapter 2 done. All right, and then we're going to go ahead and do the very same thing for chapter 3. And that's why I say that this part takes the longest, because we are literally copying and pasting. And we're copying and pasting for 18 chapters plus an epilogue, so 19 chapters. Here's C2. C3. C4. C5. And if you see anything that you want to change in this, then go ahead and do it now. If you're like, I really don't like that scene. Okay, go ahead and change it. It's a lot easier to change here than it is to do rewrites later. But for the purposes of this series, I'm not changing anything. It's literally just going to be, this is what the AI gives. And then I'm going to do extensive edits later on. And honestly, I'm probably going to get rid of maybe 30% of what the AI gives me, and that's pretty typical for me when I work with chapters like this. If I'm maybe working in Novel AI, which I'll show you in another video, I may keep more of it, but for this, I'm just showing you how to get that very first book and just that very first draft so that you can go and make it your own. So we are continuing on. This is, of course, chapter 4. That's scene 3. We are already at over 18 minutes, so like I said, it takes a while. This is going to be your longest part, so get comfortable when you're doing this. And you can absolutely take breaks. I'm going to do it straight through just to show you how long it could possibly take. I actually probably don't need this part. Yeah, this kind of the retrospective solitude. All of that we probably don't need. So I'm going to go back very quickly and get rid of that because I don't want the AI to be confused with thinking, oh, we need to do something really specific with that, because that's just kind of the overall theme. Of that particular scene. So, like this. I don't want it to be like, oh my gosh, there's actually an elephant in the room. Because the AI can be incredibly literal sometimes. So, before we get too much further, let's just take that out. Yeah, like here, we don't need a random ghost showing up because that's not what we're doing. Okay, there we go. We're almost done fixing that. See, and here's a good reason why we need those pieces in our codex. You know, because Emily is an entry, the Maple Leaf Cafe is an entry, Lily's an entry, and then down here, these are everybody important and everything important that is in that particular scene. So it knows, grab that information. Alright, so that didn't take too long to clean up. Where were we? Chapter 4. Alright, we got done with chapter 4. Let's go over to chapter 5. Get rid of this. Alright, so we are just going to grab that. And if you wanted to stick with the shorter outline, the one that didn't have the seam beats, that's okay. For me, I like having the seam beats because it gives the AI absolute direction of this is what I want to happen so that it doesn't decide to add in extra things that I don't want to have to clean up later. But, you know, if you're writing it yourself for the most part, if you are only using the AI for a little bit of help here and there, we actually can get rid of this. Then maybe you don't want to have all the seam beats. And that's completely up to you. This is one example of how to do this where you're going to be pretty hands-off except for this part. Because as you'll see in the next video, when we actually start writing, or when the AI starts writing at least, we aren't going to touch anything. Alright, that's scene 10. Alright, chapter 6. Look up, get rid of this. That's why I like to have it in a separate document so that I can see where we are, what I'm doing, and where we need to go. That's scene 3. Here's scene 4. This is we're on chapter 6. This is the last scene in the first act. 5. There's 6. There's 7, especially, you know, if you're like, hang on, who is George? Well, George is Emily's dad. See, he's grabbed in all those places because George we made as an alias for George Harris. And that's why the codex is so important. Please don't ignore the codex. And you can always add to the codex too. If you're writing and you're like, hey, yeah, I really love this character, throw them into the codex. If you're like, hey, I have this idea for this really cute cafe, toss it in the codex. Chapter 6. All right, chapter 7. All right, so we are a third of the way done now. Get rid of that. We don't need that. Grab that. 4, 5. And so when this book is done with the first draft, what I do, my process, is that I will sit there and I will have it open in a Word document. And then I will also have another Word document off to the side. I will do one read through because, again, I'm not actually going to be writing any of this. So my first read through will be when it's done. And then from there, that first read through will give me an idea of any kind of strengths, weaknesses, anything that I need to work on as I do my edits. And then that second time will be when we actually start doing the big developmental edits, those big plot things, the the dangling threads, the plot holes, the oh my gosh, I can't believe that we missed this, those kind of things. That'll be that second read through. And then after we are satisfied with that, I like to do another read through just to make sure that I didn't miss anything as I was doing big developmental edits. And then from there, so we are on 8, and then from there, I like to do my smaller edits, my line edits, my grammar, my punctuation, my spelling, just making sure that everything ties together. No, so if you are fast, maybe you can get this done in a week. It's really up to you how quickly you are at editing, because this part you can do pretty quickly. So chapter 9. And we're at about an hour now, and so at an hour we started out with no idea, completely no idea what we were writing. If you were here for the very first video when we actually started planning, not the overview of Novel Crafter, but the first planning video, which was video 2, then you knew that we started with I want to write a romance novel and I want it to be a contemporary novel between 2 adults. So from there we made characters, we made locations, we made that detailed outline, then we made these scene beats, which is what we have right now. So Novel AI, or AI in general, not Novel AI. Novel AI is another program that I'm going to show you in a later video. One that I really love when you don't need so much planning and so much back-end AI work. But the AI really helps speed everything up, because without it, I would not have been able to get to this point within an hour. And I don't think many other people would have been able to too. Alright, so we are on scene 10 of chapter 9. Very good. Get rid of this. So we can jump right into chapter 10. We're almost 2/3 of the way done with this. Get rid of that, of course. Right, scene 3. Okay, scene 4. Right, they're restoring a gazebo. It sounds like it'll be a really cute book. Sounds, low angst. Nice little second chance love, small town. You know, Hallmark was the vibe that I was going for with it. And it seems like it's going to hit that mark. And if you're looking for another vibe, that's totally fine. All I'm showing you is the building blocks so that you can jump right into how you want to write and your novel, however you see your novel coming together. You know, if you want to write a historical fiction, if you want to write Regency romance, if you're more into sci-fi, go for it. Everything that I'm teaching you here, everything that I'm showing you can actually be applied to any kind of book that you want to write. This apparently we left off from scene 10 over here. Oh, she's gonna talk to Jack about their potential future. That's sweet. Only took 10 chapters, but that's okay. Alright. There we go, chapter 11. 2. You know, and nothing in Novel Crafter is especially difficult. Really nothing in AI writing itself is especially difficult. It's using the tools and making the most of it. And you can use the tools as much or as little as you like. If you're like, I want to be more hands-on in my book, go for it. You know, if you are good with a simple outline and you just want to write and jump right into it, that's perfectly fine. You know, if you want to follow this process where the AI is going to give you a first draft and then you go through and you make it your own and you rewrite and you edit and you do what you need to do so that it sounds like you and it feels like you, go for it. You know, if you're stuck and you don't know how to finish that book that you started, the AI can definitely assist. You just have to give it enough information so that it knows what you need. And that's the trickiest part because, you know, you'll have to go through and do the codex and you'll have to put in all the scene beats so that it knows what has happened so far and go from there. But the nice thing is, say you have a book that you have started, you need scene beats from it, you can toss in your chapter. I definitely suggest doing it chapter by chapter, but grab Novel Crafter, put your chapter in to the chat, and then ask it for scene beats from that chapter. It'll give it to you. And then you can put those scene beats into the plan so that as you continue on, it can tell you what is going to happen next. It can give ideas. It can give a synopsis, everything you need so that it can help you. The other fun thing to do, if you haven't tried it with chat, and this goes for any of the chat programs that are out there, I like ChatGPT just because it seems to be a little better than some of the others. You know, Claude is also a really good one, but you can go in, give it a chapter, and then say, hey, what are the strengths of this chapter? What are the weaknesses? What can I improve on? It'll give you honest feedback. It may say you're a great writer. They normally do, but it will tell you, hey, this is something that you could work on. Especially if you ask it directly, what are some weaknesses? Don't ask it, what do you think of the chapter? Because it'll tell you that it's amazing. But if you ask it specifically, what are the weaknesses of this chapter? It'll let you know. It'll be nice about it too. It will not tell you that the chapter is terrible. It'll tell you, hey, it needs a little more character development. Or, hey, I don't know what's happening in this chapter, you know. Or it'll say, hey, you know, this scene was really gripping and very emotionally charged. And that's great feedback. Alright, so that is scene 5. This is scene 6. We are almost done. 7. So yeah, we are almost done. I know this takes a while. Thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for staying with Novel Crafter. This part is absolutely crucial, so please don't skip it. Yeah, signaling only has one L in it. That's probably a UK spelling. Okay, that's scene 10. So we are now on chapter 14. 5 left. We are getting there. It is almost done. As you can see, you don't have to save anything. Novel Crafter saves everything for you. Right, 6. Scene 7. Aww. We're gonna have a romantic dinner at the gazebo. That's sweet. I'm actually going to get rid of this part because we are not ending the chapter, or we are not ending the story there. That is only chapter 14. We are definitely not ending there. It's cute that the chat wanted to end there, but that's not what's happening. Alright, and then we've got chapter 15. Scene 2. 3. 4, 5. Here's 6. And just reading the little glimpses I'm getting, it sounds like a really sweet little story. Right, there's 9. Right, there is 10. So now we are on chapter 16. Get rid of this. This doesn't get in our way. 3 more. Four. Six. 7. 9. And 10. We are not closing the story right now. It sounds a lot like the last chapter that I wanted to try to end the story with. So we may be cutting some of that chapter. Totally fine. We're not going to worry about it right now. Get rid of all of this. We're so close to being done. So keep in mind at this point, we've spent about an hour and 15 minutes total with Novel Crafter, creating first the idea, the characters, the locations, the basic outline, the scene beats, and then tossing them all into the plan. And we've spent maybe $2.50 total with Open Router because we've been using ChatGPT 4 Turbo. And there are free ones attached to it. I don't find them as good, but you don't have to spend money in addition to Novel Crafter to be able to create an outline. There are free AIs attached to it. Ones like Mistral are free, which I like Mistral. Sometimes it can be fun. 5, here's 6. And I will definitely show you Mistral and all of its goodness in another video. For consistency, I wanted to stick with one AI while we do this, especially because I want you to see the total cost when using ChatGPT 4 Turbo so that you can know kind of what to expect. Your Novel AI costs will be different just because you may not need to be on the highest plan that includes collaboration like I am, but your AI costs will be relatively the same. Right here we have the epilogue. Last one, just 10 more beats. And some of these scenes we may discard completely in edits, but we're at least going to get them out. We're going to take a look at them, and then we can decide from there. Okay, just that. Oh, they're going to have a baby. That's cute. Oh, they're going to plant a new maple tree. That's really sweet. That's a nice touch. Aww. Her dad's going to give her some nice advice. Okay, that sounds really sweet. And here we go. Alright, so this whole copy pasting everything took about 45 minutes, so yeah, this is the longest part of the planning process. Ooh, that's not what I wanted to do. Oops. But now we have all of our scene beats put into our plan. Everything is here. We can actually show it horizontally if you prefer. If you like this layout more. I don't. I like it vertical. You can do it as a matrix if you want to. I don't like that. You can do it as an outline. I don't like that either. I like it as a grid. This makes sense in my brain because we're going to chapter 1, scene 2, scene 3, scene 4. But however you like to see it, totally fine. And then next up, we're just going to go to write. And as you can see, we have the scene here, we have the scene here. All of our chapter scenes are right here in the right box so that we can instantly jump in and start on the next video. So thank you so much for staying with me through this one. I know it was long, but this planning step absolutely is crucial So please don't neglect it. All right, I'll see you on the next one when we actually start writing this novel.